All right, can you hear me now? It looks like my audio is coming through. That's good. That should be picking up. Please let me know if it is or is not. I see the no sound notifications. Thank you so much for commenting. If you can hear me now, that would be awesome if you could let me know. Yes. All right, so you guys can hear me. That's awesome. This is not going to help me tonight. This was much more useful with the phone, but for the last 2 streams, it hasn't been working, and today it has been working even less. So we're just kind of having to go bare bones right now, which is kind of a pain in the rear. The lighting is awful. The color is washed out. Whatever. 1 second. All right. So at least I can use my phone during the stream. That kind of helps a little bit. I hope all my audio is clear in all this. I had I like to try to get a little bit of light on my face. You guys can imagine that streaming earlier like this gives me a lot less time to actually get set up than I would at our normal streaming time, which is 10. That's when we usually go live with the co-conspirators. And before we started the secret streams, it was usually 10, and we didn't always get a lot of people joining us. So, whoa, okay. Okay, that is a little bit too bright. I don't know if you can hear my kids in the background, but the nightly bedtime battle has initiated. Let's see. My face is just way too burnt out. Maybe if I back everything up a little bit, that might take some of the heat off my face. But this camera really has no idea how to deal with the spiking going on in that area. It really sucks. Whatever. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, let me tell you. Yeah, my face is just not going to be completely burnt out. That's lovely, isn't it? Whatever. It's okay. We can kind of deal with it, I guess. There we go. Much better. Isn't that great? Yikes. It's like I'm shooting at night. Whatever. I'm just going to have to deal with a burnt face. It doesn't do my photography or graphic design heart no good at all. No good at all. All right. So like I said, we've got a lot to talk about. I'm just going to have to start by being honest. I have a major regret that I would like to apologize to you guys for. I would like to apologize for not going public with my criticisms of Gail Riplinger's book, New Age Bible Versions, immediately. I wanted to take the time to slow things down, to reevaluate, to step back, to look at things, to analyze things, to talk to the co-conspirators who are part of our co-conspirator membership on our Buy Me a Coffee page, and my family and everything else like this, run things by them, voice my frustrations, all this stuff. I was really wanting to do that. And because I felt hurt and frustrated, many times I would find something and I would be like, dear, because I'd be like, dear, you would never believe what she did now. And I would go out and I'd be like, nothing but frustration. The entire analysis process. She is so hard to follow up on. And trying to understand the reasoning and everything. It's just, it's almost impossible, to be honest. But when you go and you look and you check the documentation that she gives, and you go and you read the sources that she talks about and that she discusses and everything, you find out that everything is either pretty much a very skewed and slanted view of what was actually true, or it's just completely the opposite of what the person said. It's truly fascinating. So I might be able to get the top of my head back. Yeah. I got a haircut today, so that was fun. I've been cutting my own hair for the last couple of years. So, is the music still playing? Let me make sure the music's not playing. No, it's not. All right, cool. All right, so that is my one big regret. That I didn't just go, "Hey guys, look at what I just found," and have it all public. I started doing the secret stream because I wanted to have something for members. That gave me something that I could do just for the members. And it also gave me a spot where I could just be like, present it to them. If they're like, "No, actually, this and that and the other thing," and I'd be like, "Okay, well then I don't need to make this public. I don't need to embarrass myself or criticize Gail unjustly or what have you." But I did several secret streams, I believe at least 3 before September. So I did a number. If you guys look at our YouTube channel, you'll see episodes 18, 21, and 22 are all secret streams. So that's because let me bring up the comments real quick, just in case. Been cutting mine for us. Hair is overrated. All right, that's what my boss would say. He goes to the same barber that I just went to today, but he's a little bit lacking in the follicle department, but that's okay. Anyways, all right. So 18, 21, and 22. Those are all secret streams that are not published yet. However, they're going to be going public because Gail Riplinger's already seen them. She could have, I don't know if she did, but she could have actually watched them live while I was making them, believe it or not. And we're going to be looking at a document today. The one that Gail is holding in, is this my, nope, that's my background. Yeah, maybe I could do that. In this little image right here. The document right over, it's counterintuitive. That way. It's called Joseph Armstrong's Secret Stream Exposed. You guys can read it. Go right ahead. I don't care. Go right ahead and read it. It is on avpublications.com/freebies, and it is 20 pages long. From page 13 to page 20 is a transcript of what I said in the secret streams. Gail was so upset and offended by what I said in those secret streams, which will be public, so you guys can decide what I said and how I said it, and what I didn't say and how I didn't say it, all for yourselves. All of it is going to be made published after I have some editing to do, because in the secret streams, it is open between me and usually 2 or 3 other people. So there's a lot of material that is not germane to the discussion. Anything that's germane to the discussion, stuff that she cites in the paper and the transcript and everything, all of that's going to be public. If you guys see anything that's missing, and maybe I missed something or I added something or whatever, or not added something, or I cut something that didn't need to be cut or what have you, if you can't find something, please let me know. Due to that, the timestamps that she provides in the transcripts will not be accurate, regrettably, because since there's things that need to be taken out, they're not all on the back end. So it's going to make things harder finding timestamp wise if you use her document. Gail, I know you're watching. If you want, you can, reformat that, retranscript it once it comes out to make it easier for people to reference. If you really want to stick with this PDF after this stream, I don't know. But if you do, then feel free to do that. Like I said, there's 3 of them that she refers to specifically. We're going to read about that in a second. This is really going to be an interesting night. I made a few notes, and right now they're living in my phone. Okay, here we go. So far, I've read this document twice. And as it turns out, Gail is right in her expose of me about as often as she is correct in her chapter, The Final Bible. Yes, for those of you that haven't picked it up already, The Final Bible, ! Chapter 40 of New Age Bible Versions is the chapter that I have looked at everything, point by point. There are a few things in the chart. My goodness, there's 80 some items, okay? Give me a break. There are some things that I have to dial in specifically and things that I have to look at specifically in their context, copy and paste. I'm building a web page for it right now. It is called, and Gail has a PDF version. At the time, I don't think it's going to help her out a lot, because if you try to make a PDF page of this website page, it has a lot of detail things that drop down. So if you just try to make a PDF of it, a lot of the details are lost. So I'm actually going to do you a favor, and I'm going to offer a PDF on the website. So you guys, a PDF of the entire page, so that all the text is available in a document that can be used offline and all this other stuff without having to use the website. And you can print it or what have you. So that's going to be a lot of work. At that point, I may end up charging a couple of bucks for the PDF itself, but the website's going to be absolutely free. It is, and you can go there right now. It is BibleVersionConspiracy.com/Hermas, and Barnabas as one word. But it's not ready yet. If you go there, it's password protected. And co-conspirators have the password. They can go in because they're helping me, by looking at it once in a while and checking out different things that I write in there and evaluating what I say and things like this. And if you have done that, I deeply appreciate it. It is a lengthy PDF, and there is a lot that I have to deal with. It is, I forget how many pages her chapter is long, but the chart itself is 19 pages and deals with so many different points. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll also be doing some streams coming up, talking specifically in detail and all this, about what I have found by following up on the documentation that Gail gives in chapter 40. It's printed in every edition of New Age Bible Versions, and with slight variations. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. All right, so that means, since her evaluation of the streams and her representation of me in the PDF over there, it is about as correct as her chapter, The Final Bible. That means that about 70% of the time her conclusions miss the reality of the situation, or her presentation misses the reality of the situation. And 30% of the time, making up the other 100, are not even close or exactly opposite of the facts. Needless to say, I do not feel well represented, or that the situation was well represented or handled in the least. But don't take my word for it. Like I said, you will soon be able to see for yourself these 3 secret streams which she was invited to. She was invited to all 3 of these secret streams because she was an honorary co-conspirator. I'll talk to you about that in a second. Which she was invited to, but she was reluctant to interact in them. And they're going to be made public shortly, like I said. And then I've got some opening questions that I want to broach before we get into the meat of the matter. I'm imagining some people that are part of the Friends of Gail Riplinger group will be watching this in the future. So right now I've got 14 viewers, which is awesome. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hit that subscribe button if you're into this Bible version kind of stuff. And I look forward to interacting with you. Sam. Okay. I'm not sure if you're talking to me or not, but my name is Joseph. If Hudson TD777, there is a popular Unitarian channel called 13 Above. They laugh now, they don't like you. If there's a popular Unitarian channel that doesn't like me that much, I doubt that you're talking to me. You're probably talking about Steve Miller. I don't know. But anyways, if there's somebody, you know, making content about me, I'd love to see it. I would just love it. Whatever. So moving on. I'm gonna try to answer these as candidly and off the cuff as I can, I guess. I do have a lot written down. Like, this is just the answer to the first question, and the first question is, do you believe the KJV, and are you still KJV only? That's a long response. Why are you making this stream is the second one. What was your turning point in your view of Gail Riplinger's work? That one's a fairly quick response. Are you angry and upset at Gail for the audiobook project? Is that what this all goes back to? Actually, no. Gail, and I think that also one of my co-conspirators misunderstood that too. When he first mentioned it in the secret stream, I was kind of like taken aback. I was like, no, that's not what this is about. And I was like, well, I mean, maybe there's some kind of connection that goes back to it. That's why I kind of, you know, prevaricated on that or what have you. And I was like, I don't really think so, but whatever. I just kind of let it go. Gail capitalizes on it in the PDF. Are you okay? Whatever. Next. There was actually a comment by a guy on the post that I made that's kind of related to this stream. Right now, the description is the full text pretty much of that post. And then I respond to it, and I thought that the response would be germane to tonight. Do you expect us to believe you instead of Gail? Oh, now that's an interesting question. And then what are Gail's main points in the PDF that she wrote exposing you? Well, there's 5 of them. So main points. There's so many points that need to be addressed. It's not even funny. So, and please, if we'll hopefully be having another live you know, Q&A probably toward the end of the month, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you guys have about the PDF there. I hesitate to encourage you to email me questions about it, because when you do that, then you get 15 emails that have the same questions, and you have to kind of give the same answers. And then by that point, you might as well just have a form email that you just put out that's just like, or have a page where it has like frequently asked questions. So, you know, I'd also rather not have to answer the same questions over and over live. So it also takes away from all the time that way too. So, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. We're on this journey together, and I appreciate you being here. You guys are amazing. All right, well, let's answer some of these opening questions before we get into the PDF real quick. All right, first one is, do you believe in the KJV? And are you still KJV only? I would say, I'm putting my notes down for right now, because I would say that is a nuanced response. If you read Gail's PDF, you're going to get the impression that I hate King James onlyism with a passion. That's not necessarily true. I still believe that the KJV doesn't have a single error in translation. I think that King James only understanding of the King James Bible needs some help. For instance, with the word Lucifer, there are so many things. Anyways, for now, I am King James only. As I have said, in numerous publicly available videos, I have not had this be a secret. My struggles and questions with the King James only position and everything like this has not been a private struggle of mine. I have mentioned it on many videos that are already public, and I have voiced it to my family and my co-conspirator friends and other friends who are not co-conspirators. And these doubts and these struggles and these questions are natural. They are natural and they are necessary if you're going to hold an opinion and know why you're holding it. Being pressured and being told what to think and being told that if you're not King James only, you are a heretic scumbag, that is toxic. And if you're doing it, if you're going around doing that, just because you are firmly convinced on something does not mean that someone has to agree with you or they're going to hell. Am I clear? Let's see. Yes, we are also commanded to love one another. And I appreciate what you said earlier in your messages to me, Stephen. Or Steve, sorry. Let's see. I am asking a lot of serious questions and getting a lot of ridiculous and evasive answers. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. I've asked a lot of questions of, like, you know, the Sam Gibbs position on inspiration. All of the stuff with Hermas and Barnabas that I've asked Gail. There's been two main things, and the response that I actually got back from Bryn was, like I said, ridiculous, evasive, and also degrading, I thought. Okay. So let me just send out a notification real quick to the Buy Me a Coffee people, just to let them know that we are live. Is that going to copy? It's not going to copy. Okay. We are live. And put a little celebrating emoji and there. All right. That went out. Huh. Don't shut down your phone yet. You need the notes. All right. So, a lot of ridiculous and evasive answers. I already said that. Thanks for, okay. Thanks to, now this is interesting. This is a real, and I want to try to keep this under 2 hours. I'm going to try so hard. We might have to make a part 2. This is a real irony. Thanks to deep diving into Gail Riplinger's document on the final Bible, and I have been open about this as well. Open, public, I've said this publicly many times. Thanks to deep diving into the documentation in the final Bible, and that resulting in phenomenal disappointment, I am now more ready to fairly hear the other side out than I have at any other point in my adult life. Just being honest. In fact, I've now this is true. In fact, I've kind of toyed with new things to call myself. Like, I don't want to call myself King James only when I'm associating with people that are doing this online. Like, I ask a question. I made a video about this not long ago, where I was like, I don't think Lucifer is a New Age I'm not Lucifer. I don't think that Daystar instead of Lucifer is a New Age translation. I don't agree with changing it to Daystar, but I think we need to understand the term Lucifer there better. And that's a whole nother can of worms. But I got so much backlash on that. You think the King James Bible's been mistranslated, and, you know, you hate the King James Bible and stuff like this. And some people that tried to fairly fairly respond. I will give a lot of people that. They really did. Same thing with like when I would post a Mark Ward video, like with the word mansion or the word study or whatever. There were a few people that coolly and calmly gave their thoughts, and I thought that they did a lot of good thinking and some good research, but I think that it also fell short of the analysis that I had seen. But anyways, rabbit trail, rabbit trail, rabbit trail. We'll talk about all that some other time. Okay, so and we often have an inability to, many among us have an inability to absorb new information. And that ability often seems totally withered up, and the robust and strong side of us is the side that says, you're attacking the KJV, and whack people that are trying to ask fair questions and trying to learn and trying to teach us. We whack them on the head. That's the kind of side that we feed a lot. A fair hearing for everyone but our favorites. Hang on a second. A fair hearing for anyone except our favorites is rendered impossible. In our cherished echo chamber, and I am sorry to say that for the past decade plus, I have been just as guilty of being in a King James only echo chamber. Like I said, things need to change, and I am trying to learn how. It's frustrating to see those who are like I was back then and how they're reacting to the channel and what I have to say online. But you know who's going to be actually helped by this channel? The person who I was yesterday. And I appreciate you joining me on this journey. Like I said, this is nothing that I haven't said publicly. So, Gail pretends in this PDF that I'm hiding my true views. And really, in secret closets, I'm questioning King James only defenders. How dare he? Funny. Let's take a look at the PDF. Why? I'm bouncing back and forth. I really want to get into this PDF, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. All right. Why are you making this stream? Now, let me have a hypothetical for you. If this PDF over here, I got to get used to this, over here, if it would have come out 5 years ago and it was written about somebody that was not myself, and I went and I read it, I'd be like, oh my goodness, this horrible, evil person. This person lied to Gail Riplinger. Oh, but God was on her side and all of this stuff. And I would have had the very same conclusion that many of you have after reading it. Or, you know, I would have just been like, okay, I've got no time for this guy. Oh, I'm part of his Friends of Gail Riplinger group. I have no more interest in being part of it. That's how I would have reacted 5 years ago. Today, if I can get a hold of this person that she wrote this about, I want to know their side of the story. I don't want to be spoon-fed reality by somebody who has been singing my favorite song for 30 years. That's not how we're fair, and it's not how sincere study is done or research is conducted. If this PDF would have come out 5 years ago regarding somebody I admired, I wouldn't like me anymore either. I do not blame people that feel that I betrayed them. No, I don't at all. There are a lot of things in this PDF that I was not ready to share, and there are a lot that I'm not necessarily proud of. That's why it was a secret stream, and I was basically just going off in front of friends and just being like, guys, we really need to reevaluate stuff. I am sincerely disturbed by the amount of disingenuousness, I guess, disingenuity that I'm seeing in the final Bible. I probably could have done it a little bit of a better way, but I apologize for what you're going to see when you watch those streams. Let's see. And I'm not backpedaling, but I'm apologizing in advance. There are some places where I get maybe a little emotional. There are a lot of things in the PDF that I was not ready to share, some that I'm not proud of, and a lot of frustration that I was venting to those close friends and family members. And I am making those, I don't have to make them public. I don't. I could keep them in a closet someplace, never to see the light of day. But Gail went public with the PDF over there on the other side of the screen. And since it is now public, I have to take out the first names of people that don't want to be included in the stream. I have to go through and I have to blur people's faces and names as they appear on the screen. I have to go through them with a fine-toothed comb and then finally release them so that everybody can see for themselves what kind of representation this is. Oh, and by the way, this PDF is available publicly, so you can go download it, read it, and compare it to the streams as much as you want. Oh, but if it turns out that there's just a little bit too much clear and apparent misrepresentation, which there is, maybe Gail will try to take it off of her website before people see how she mangled the truth of the situation. Maybe she will. I don't know. Maybe she'll see and she'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't understand what you were saying. Maybe she will. And maybe she'll just take it down and actually issue an apology for the first time in her King James only career, to my knowledge. I don't know. I have never heard myself or read Gail Riplinger apologize for making a mistake. I've never seen her do. I've seen her make mistakes, even when I was a young King James onlyist, and I just kind of forgot about them. And I found more as we've gone along. There's 3 actual criticisms that James White gave in New Age Bible Versions Refuted that Gail corrected quietly after he made those criticisms. But she never thanked him. She just lambasted him. She made a criticism of him regarding a misstatement that he made, which Gail has made her own misstatements. 2 of them were misstatements that she corrected. I think she said one of them was a typo, which was just like, okay. Okay. But James White was like, yeah, I was wrong. Thank you, Gail, for pointing that out. That's nothing that, no, Gail's right all the time. Don't you know? Anyways, Gail, I know you're probably watching this and you probably hate my guts even more than ever, but stick around to the end of the stream and I think you'll get some value out of it. Okay, so why am I making this stream? All right. The problem, my beef with the current situation, the reason why I'm just like, I've really got to make this stream. And if it was public and it was 100% truthful and transparent about stupid things that I said and stupid things that I believed, I would just have to own up to them. And there are some things in the PDF that I will have to own up to, but there's not many of them. The main reason why I'm making this stream is because the PDF tells Gail's version of the truth, and it doesn't even approach half the truth. It barely even tells Gail Riplinger's side of the story. You get a lot of, the phrasing that she puts around your name to make you seem like a villain. It has a lot of that. But you actually don't hear much about what Gail's perspective of the situation was. You don't actually hear a lot of her side of the story. What was your turning point in your view toward her work? Well, I'll tell you what. when I made the Friends of Gail Riplinger group, my honest and sincere desire was to get more like-minded believers together, because I didn't have a lot of friends, and I still don't have necessarily a lot of friends. Can we be friends? Anyways, and I wanted to get people together in a group and show Gail that there were supporters of her online. That was my honest, sincere desire, and to help promote what she said. About a year ago or so, one of my co-conspirators asked me a question. He said, actually, I asked him a question first. I asked him and another co-conspirator, and I was like, this was, I believe, in an after show, which Gail would have also had access to. She was an honorary co-conspirator. She had access to all of our secret content because I made her an honorary co-conspirator. And we'll get into this later. I sent her an email explaining to her the benefits of being an honorary co-conspirator. And one of those benefits was access to our super secret content. Whenever I would make an after show, she could join. It's gonna be interesting once we get into this PDF, let me tell you. Let's see. What was your turning point? Okay, my turning point was when my friend asked me, I was like, hey, what kind of content do you guys want to see? What kind of questions do you have? My friend was like, oh, way back when, she said that she talked about Hermas and Barnabas. And hang on a second. I'm going to close the vent on the floor over here. It's getting hot. There we go. That's better. All right. So he was like, she would always say that Hermas teaches to take the mark of the beast, to give up to the beast, to kill anyone not receiving the mark of the beast, and to form a new world order. I think the new world order was number 3, but anyways. And I was like, okay, I can look into that. And I was like, well, there's a couple of things where I'm just like, it doesn't pan out. Like the whole Satan is Lord thing. We'll get into that later too. And it was just like, I'll look into it, sure. And I ended up reading The Shepherd of Hermas all the way through. Audiobook, love audiobooks. And the translation of Lightfoot, no less, the one that she refers to. And I was duly unimpressed. And then I started going through point by point through her chapter, looking up her references. All of the references that she has in there are available online. All of them. So it's not, you don't have to go to interlibrary loan. You don't have to, go to, some obscure village in Scotland somewhere. You don't have to do it. You jump online. You can find the edition. You can find the page number. You can find the words in Google Books, in Internet Archive. The only thing that I couldn't find that I needed was a magazine, and I bought the magazine. Oh, and I found an article from Phoenix, Arizona, where what the magazine mentions talks about it a month after it happened. This was much further removed and much more biased, obviously biased. It kind of had like a Dan Brown-esque author. The original magazine was a little more fascinating. And if I'm not mistaken, Gail, you know very much about that. Since you watched the secret streams. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the secret stream or not. I'm pretty sure I did. But that magazine is not the best source on that canon seminar, is it? And reading the magazine article for the exact quotation that you would have looked at yourself was very revealing too. I might as well just drop it. You would always say that the Jesus seminar people, or this canon seminar, they say, if you think you have everything you need in your Bible, we don't. And then you get this kind of smirk sometimes when you say that. And you said it in just about every interview and talk you ever gave. Am I right? Buying that magazine was very revealing, because that exact quotation, you have a little ellipsis mark there, don't you? That leaves out a little bit of information, doesn't it? What was the Jesus seminar all about? And what kind of real influence did they even wield, by the way, to change the canon? No, they don't. That's a joke. So you go and you look at the magazine article that you quoted yourself, and what did they actually say, Gail? What did they actually say? Come on, you can tell us. We trust you. It says, actually, if you think you have everything you need in your Bible to reconstruct Jesus, we don't think that's true. The article made it seem like they were going to be adding books to the Bible because the Gail, come on. You know, these articles in the U.S. World and News Report or whatever it's called, that one, when you read it, is horribly skewed. Go look at the same quotation in that magazine from Arizona, from Phoenix. It's in the PDF that you made, Gail. It's available in it. Have you looked at it? If it's not in there, I guess you'll just have to wait for the website to drop like everybody else. But the title of that article was Bible Revision Will Not Be a Bible. And the meeting was about getting together a scholars canon where they would decide which books they would use to try to reconstruct a historical Jesus. It had nothing to do with adding Hermas and Barnabas to the Bible or something nutty like that. Oh, and I gotta share this with you guys. Don Wilkins, the guy that lost his voice on the Ankerberg show, he didn't. Gail's been pretending that he did for years now, many years. And we had a stream about that already. It's already public. Go check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. It's called, I think, Did Don Wilkins Lose His Voice on the Ankerberg Show? It's got a mime on the thumbnail. You guys can go look at that. We don't get into all the details there, and we'll make more detailed videos in the future. But anyways, so I asked Don about it because, you know, he's been a Bible translator for a lot of his life, probably most of his life. And I was like, I asked him, have you ever heard of any plans to add the Shepherd of Hermas and the Epistle of Barnabas to the Bible by any chance? And he said, yes. I was like, oh my goodness, really? And he said, yep. As soon as the Apostle Paul resurrects and tell us that we should put it in the Bible, we'll do it. And he was obviously, to somebody that has any kind of ear for sarcasm, which Gail apparently does not. I'm sorry, I don't want to pick on Gail. I know she's an infirmed widow and she has had a rough life and a lot of critics and stuff like this. I'm sorry, but as far as it comes to sarcasm, especially from what you see in the PDF, she's tone deaf when it comes to sarcasm, and it's really sad. But I find it ironic that Don Wilkins, a translator for the New American Standard Bible, one of the Bibles that is the most slavishly formal equivalent in its translation, for a translation that is so literal so many times, I would say that as far as the whole King James only debate thing has gone, his sarcasm has gotten him in more trouble than anybody else I can think of. So, because like his like, oop, I lost my voice. That got him in a world of hurt, and you know, he didn't suffer for it. He hasn't thought about it in, my goodness, probably 20 some years. But, and then the thing about oh yeah, as soon as Paul resurrects, Gail's gonna grab that and be like, Don Wilkins believes that the Apostle Paul's gonna resurrect, and then they're gonna add the Shepherd of Hermas and the Epistle of Barnabas. It's confirmed by a noted Bible translator, you know, and okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be rude. All right. So that was my turning point. Are you angry or upset at Gail for the audiobook project? For her pulling out her support from this new project? Is that what this all goes back to? Actually, Gail, I would like to thank you publicly publicly right now, here, in this moment. Thank you for choosing to be like Mueller. Thank you. Because that shows whether or not God wants your book to become an audiobook. I appreciate that. I do. I also appreciate it because I would, and I did, I think 3 or 4 chapters. I still have them in the videos, in the private videos on our channel. I privated them after the support for the audiobook project was pulled out when we tried to hire a narrator. And Gail would have nothing to do with the crowdfunding of it. I privated those videos because each one of them contained a promise of a full audiobook. And and I was also kind of miffed. So I was like, I put so much into this and we can't crowdfund it because she wants to be like George Mueller and just whatever. So I just privated them, and she said that I could leave them up, but I was just like, I'm not going to leave them up. And my wife's like, well, are you doing that out of spite? And I was like, well, maybe a little bit, but I mean, it also contains a promise of having more of them in there. So I was just like, I'm just going to forget it for now until something else happens. So I'm glad that I didn't go through with making that audiobook, because that would be tying up my reputation with yours a lot more than I've wanted to since the beginning of this channel when I was a full supporter of you. I wanted to, and this is also in the PDF, I wanted to separate my reputation from Gail Riplinger and Peter Ruckman especially ever since the conception of this channel and before. Why? Because I think that their reputation, then not necessarily what they've done, but their reputation is a big hindrance to being able to discuss the Bible version conspiracy like I do on my channel. I think that it's a big hindrance to that, because a lot of people just don't like Peter Ruckman, and a lot of people don't consider Gail Riplinger to be any kind of a scholar whatsoever, and they don't consider her to be honest. And I wanted to distance myself from that reputation while trying to get the good things that they said and bring them into right now, instead of having them all just basically, being like only in very certain niches and all this other stuff, just kind of, in an echo chamber, like I said earlier. So that's one reason why I've wanted to distance myself from Gail and Peter Ruckman for a very long time. And it's not because of the audiobook project not panning out. Please. No, I'm not angry because, this is a little mean. This is what I was typing out the other night, No, I'm angry. And this is where my anger came from that you guys will see in the secret streams when they're published. I hope my audio is doing okay. Oh, and by the way, if you guys have any questions specifically for me, if you type them in the live chat thing, put 4 question marks before and 4 question marks after. So that way I know, oh, this is a question that I need to address. So please, if you have any questions, put them over in the chat. Or if you're watching this after the fact, leave them in the comments. I usually see them. If you don't feel like your question is being answered or I'm not seeing it or whatever, you can reach out to me at the website right here, BibleVersionConspiracy.com. So the reason why I was angry in those streams, one of my co-conspirators kind of misconstrued that and thought that the whole thing went back to the audiobook project thing, which I had not thought about in a substantial amount of time. What I was angry and upset about, and what I still am upset about, is the fact that for 30 years she has been lying and I trusted her. I am angry at myself as well. I am very angry at myself because I decided that I was going to trust Gail Riplinger because I liked what she was saying. And I ran with it. I did an entire video series, which is now privated, going through the entire book of blind guides and promoting every answer that Gail ever gave to a critic. Before 2003 anyways, or 2013, 2018. I forget what the years were. It's been a long time. But all those videos are privated. The reason why they're privated is because I privated all of my old videos. And why did I private all of them? Because I wanted to make, I wanted with this channel to make sure that everything that I'm saying is factual. And when I'm wrong, I want to go and correct it. When it came to all those older videos, I was promoting a lot of what other people were saying and just taking it for what it was. And I said a lot of dumb stuff to boot. So I privated all of them. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start fresh. And that way people that don't like me can't go back to the old videos and be like, you're such an idiot. And I'd just be like, oh my goodness, I am an idiot. Or I was an idiot. I don't believe that anymore. I wouldn't say that now. So trying to not have all that happen, just privated all of them. And I thank some of you that have actually seen some of the ones that I forgot to private. Oops. And those got fixed. And I got to say it again. It's an unhealthy attitude that is so prevalent in our circles. To trust the dude on the screen, to trust the name on the byline of the book, just to trust it and to say, okay, not going to look into any further. I like what this person says, and I'm just going to go with it. Shame on us. We all have a responsibility. You can't just trust what I say. You can't just trust what anybody says. Believe, but verify, please. Let's see. I also trusted her with a membership back in August of 2023, and she used those privileges to write the hit piece over there, which we were discussing. See, I did that without even looking at the screen. Pretty good, right? Gestured in the right direction. I'm getting the hang of it. Alrighty, so this is the comment that the person left. I just want to read this verbatim. The person said, quote, "You have changed, though. I remember you from years ago on your other channel. You were clearly a KJV Bible believer. You were also doing an audiobook for Gail. You can understand why she would feel betrayed that you turned on her and started to attack her." And that got me, and I was just like, you know, that this person's right. This person's right. And without doxing them, I didn't give their YouTube handle, but it was a comment on the one post that I made. So I replied this morning, and I said, "Good morning." "Good morning. I'm still KJV only." I put that in quotes because I would still call myself that, but then also there's so much King James onlyism I don't want to identify with. So I was just like, KJV only, I'm still that. Not that I'm false KJV only, because Gail's going to go find that and she's going to make it go, oh, look, he's, you know. Okay. So I'm still KJV only. I do not believe it contains a single error. Gail and I agree on that to this day. But I am admittedly not as fixed in my opinion as I once was, partially due to the more objective approach that I'm taking in this channel, the Bible Version Conspiracy. Ironically, thanks to Gail herself, I'm more open to listening to the other side than I ever have been before. I also have major questions and concerns about what we have been told by other defenders of this position, including Peter Ruckman, Sam Gipp, and others. And Will Kinney, you may be watching this. I don't know. I went through your PDF on Lucifer. I found at least 5 or 6 things that I found highly interesting. Thank you so much for that article. I'll try to respond to you back because, you know, we were going back and forth in Facebook comments, but whatever. But one of the main things that I saw in that article that was a defect that I was frustrated by is that you are on a quest to prove that the KJV is the translation that it gives in the text, Lucifer, is the only possible accurate translation. Luther's German Bible didn't have it that way. As far as I'm aware, you didn't cite him. If you go check out Brian Ross's PDF about all the versions that say morning star and day star in that passage, there's some that Gail would consider to be pure Bibles, unless she sees that part and then she's like, oh no, evil, and crosses it off of her list. And honestly, Gail's misconceptions about the translation Lucifer started this whole mess. It's a real shame, and we're going to be talking about it more as we move on. Okay, so, but yeah, in your haste, Will, to prove that Lucifer is the only accurate translation, you forgot about the King James translator's comments about hapax legomenon, if that's how you pronounce it, in the translators to the readers, that you're not supposed to dogmatize on the translation of a word that appears only once in the original text, and that they put a marginal note in for, or it could be translated this way. You're not supposed to dogmatize on it, according to the King James. Oh, well, they weren't inspired in their footnotes. You've got to be kidding me. Would you pay attention, please? Translation doesn't work that way. I know you want to think that the King James Bible floated down out of heaven. It didn't. The King James translator sat down and I think they made good decisions across the board. Okay? But when they got to the word Hallel, which appears only once in the Old Testament, they translated it as Lucifer and gave a note in the margin to help you understand more about what that word means, and they said or day star. Like I said about the responses that I've gotten, Gail's response preambulated around the pole of veracity on that one too, and we've talked about that before publicly. But anyways, so continuing my response, the audiobook was actually on this channel, not my old one. I understand how she feels, though I will admit I haven't thought enough about this from her perspective. One of the biggest problems I have with what she wrote is that she does not understand why I have betrayed her. She feels that I flew off the handle and I hate the King James Bible because, you know, the audiobook project thing didn't work out. That's what she says it all goes back to, and I've turned 180 degrees. Oh, but we're gonna see that. But that's not why. The reason why I've betrayed her, so to speak, is because I trusted her, but things were not as they seemed from the very beginning. One of the first things that she talks about, and I'm not sure if it's her first interview or not, but at least her first interview on SWRC, one of the first things she talks about is Hermas says to take the mark of the beast. It doesn't. It says to give up to the beast. It doesn't say to give up to the beast. It actually has that phrasing, but it's in a totally different context. And if you go and look at the Greek, Gail, it says, I boldly faced the beast. Lightfoot's translation is pretty much irrelevant. But I have a theory, because when I read that, I was like, oh, well, that means, you know, I gave up to the beast. Like, okay, I surrendered to the fact that it was coming and I prepared for battle, is what I thought when I saw that. And I took the Greek phrasing and I actually sent it to Nick here in the comments. And I was like, hey, what does this say? And he said, I'm not, I'm not the Greek guy or anything, but the way I would translate it is I boldly faced the beast. That's what every modern translation of it says since Lightfoot. And I think Gail speaks Greek, right? Gail, right? You can leave a comment in the thing. You're on Facebook now, even though you've blocked me. I left some benign comments on your page, and as soon as you found out I was there, you made it so that nobody could comment unless they'd been followers for more than 24 hours, which made nobody be able to comment because you just came on Facebook, and then you blocked me. So it took you some time to figure out how to block me, I guess. But yeah, success. But, the conversation doesn't stop just because you block somebody. But welcome to Facebook. And if you want to unblock me, I would love to have some actual good discussions with you and actually get to the bottom of why you think the way you do. Oh, and if you do want to unblock me, or if you just want to join, I guess, while I'm blocked or something, I don't know how that would really work, but there's a new Facebook group. It's called Rebooting Gail Riplinger, and what it's for is it's for people who defend what you do, and for you too, and for Bryn, anybody that wants to join. It's a public group. If you're interested in the subject, you can join Rebooting Gail Riplinger, and it's not to hurt you. It's not to lambaste you and make you look like a criminal. It's to ask sincere questions and get sincere answers. It's for defenders of your work, like yourself, and people that are fact checkers is the word that I use. People that are fact checking your work, like me. And Brian Ross, talk civilly. There we go. I think I'm back. Okay. My video is just having a little bit of a fry, I guess. So it's for us to come together in that Facebook group and have grown-up discussions. If you want to join, you can. Anybody in this feed, anybody who hears this video, if you want to join, come on over. Look it up. Rebooting Gail Riplinger. And I think I've already sent some of you invites because I know you'd be interested. There's a guy that actually wants to defend you in the YouTube comments on the debate video that you had with James White, Gail. And we had a good discussion, and went back and forth on some points. And I'm sure that he'd be delighted to join as well. I'll have to leave a comment and invite him as well. All right, so. Do you expect us to believe you over Gail? Well, okay, here. Hang on a second. So you got a PDF. It dropped from AV Publications. Wow. Gail wrote something. It's exposing Joseph Armstrong. I thought Joseph Armstrong was King James only. Didn't he start that Facebook group over there supporting Gail Riplinger? And you read it and you go, oh my goodness, this is awful, evil, horrifying, terrifying. Oh my goodness. He's a traitor. He's evil. He's... Oh, wow. And God gave her access to his streams somehow. And wow, this is amazing. Wow, I'm never going to have anything to do with him ever again. Oh, no, he's bad news. Hey, it's a free country. If you want to believe Gail till the day you die, go right ahead. But the thing is if you're going to be fair to brothers and sisters in Christ, you're going to hear everything she has to say. And you're going to have to hear everything that the other person has to say. It's called doing justice and loving mercy and walking humbly with your God. And your God is not me, and your God is not her. Your God is up there, and he's the one that wants you to judge justly between your brethren. / sistren, I guess. What is the... brother, and what is I don't even know. The cistern. That sounds too much like cistern. I'm not going to use that. All right. So, do you expect to believe us? Do you expect us to believe you over Gail? Gail is an amazing defender of 30 long years she has put into this, and she tells the truth when all these people lie about her. Okay. Well, I've asked myself the question for a long time now. Was she lied about? In a few places, it seems like she was. I've actually defended her, and I will still defend her on the places where I have seen that she has been lied about, like her being a home ec teacher, a home ec professor, or whatever. That's a lie. Maybe the structural and interior design planning, which has nothing to do with home decorating or home decor, nothing to do with it at all. It has to do with, like, floor layouts and building design and everything else like this, architecture. She taught that, and I will go down kicking and screaming saying that Theodore Letis and the other people that spread the idea that she was a home ec teacher, it's not true. It might have been part of the home economics department. It may have been. I have not confirmed that, but it's not true. And I corrected Brian Ross on that too as soon as he mentioned it. I was like, actually, Brian, you're wrong on that one. And he was like, oh, okay. I have a co-conspirator that actually owns one of the books that she has that she published under her previously married name when she was a professor at Kent State. It's like I forget if it was like a book on architecture or what it was, but anyhow. No, I am not asking you to believe me over her. Not in the least. And for the next hour or so, we're going to get into the PDF. No, I don't ask you to believe me over her. I ask you to do, all I ask you to do is look at the evidence and come to your own conclusions. And if you're honest with yourself, have you ever heard Gail ask you to do that? Have you ever heard Peter Ruckman tell you to do that? Have you ever heard anybody that talks to this discussion from a King James only standpoint, have any of them actually asked you to look at all of the evidence and reach your own conclusions? How many of them have? Usually all you get is get guilt tripped about not having enough faith. That's pretty much the side of it, or the long short of it. All right, so you can't just surrender. I'm not asking you to just simply believe anybody. You can't just surrender your conscience to someone who sings the song that you like to hear over and over again, or blindly follow anyone who gives voice to your frustrations. You can't just put somebody in absolute power over your conscience just because they give voice to your frustrations. You can't. It's unscriptural and it's dishonest and it's lazy. I'm not asking you to trust me like someone who is quick to call all detractors liars. I'm not asking you to just trust me. I'm not just going to tell you that everybody is lying about me. All of my critics are just liars and enemies of the Bible and stuff like this. Don't let anyone spoon feed you their opinions of a complex and nuanced controversy. As always, I'll be giving you all of the information that I have and asking you to make up your own mind for yourself. Honestly, now this is my honest desire, okay? Honestly, I hope that both me and Gail, I hope that both of us are proven to be completely wrong about something important that we are fully convinced of and have all of our conviction invested in. And I want, hang on a second, let me just reread this. I hope that we are both proven completely wrong about something important that we are fully convinced of and have to make a public apology. I sincerely hope that. Maybe I've completely misunderstood Gail's perspective. Maybe she'll come out with something and I'll just be like, oh, that's right. Wow, I shouldn't have said something I said. And then be like, I'm sorry, guys. I said this here and I was wrong. I'm looking forward. This entire channel, for those of you that have been watching it the whole time, I have been anxious to be proven wrong, because then if I'm proven wrong, I have an opportunity to be right. Who doesn't want to be right on something that they were wrong about before? The person, honestly, the person who only wants to be right. I'm looking forward to being proven wrong. Are you? All right, now we can get into the PDF. We're going to share screen, and we're going to share. Now, usually I'd be live streaming in 45 minutes, usually. With the co-conspirators, if it was a co-conspirator only thing, which we've had several of those since, you know, the third stream, 22. Now we're up to 32. Let's see. So we're going to be looking at that one will work. Hello, Dia. How are you? Ugh. Well, that's not right. Let me get rid of that background because that looks weird. Boop. Come on, unboop. There we go. Oh, by the way, if you guys go to Facebook and you're looking for the Rebooting Gail Riplinger page, that's what it looks like right there. So that's the cover art, Rebooting Gail Riplinger, for defenders and fact checkers to come together. I don't know about you, but I want to get to the bottom of what Gail said. I want to look into it. I want to see what is verifiable and what isn't, and then what is verifiable and what is important and what is factual. And this has been the entire time. I want to adopt into my own lineup on this channel and be like, you know what? Gail said this and she was right. And there is a Bible version conspiracy, guys. I haven't said that every stream. I have. And then the parts that are like the final Bible, I want to be like, this is indefensible. This is weak. Guys, we can't use these arguments. Let's not do it. That's what the Rebooting Gail Riplinger is for. I didn't say rebooting New Age Bible versions because she's written more than just one book. It's talking about the publications that Gail Riplinger has put out since New Age Bible versions in 1993. So that's what the discussion focuses on. And other things that are related to it. If you want to defend what she says and you want to evaluate what she says, honestly, or if you just want to come and just defend her tooth and nail on every single point using blind guides as your roadmap, come on in. It's fine. Just, let's discuss it like adults still, for crying out loud. But, let's get to the bottom of things. Let's look at it honestly, objectively, talk about it. And Gail, like I said, if you want to join us, come on right ahead. It's a public group. Let's see. Oh, and also, just to clarify, in case anybody's comment that they leave on this video doesn't post, I didn't delete it on you. I don't delete comments. It's childish. It's stupid. It wastes people's time, and it makes it feel like what people have to say is of no value, and I'm not into that. I thankfully have not had to delete a comment in a very long time. The last time that I did it, it was because somebody was being obscenely rude. And I always, if I do delete a comment, I make that person aware that I deleted the comment, and I give them the opportunity to rephrase it in a more respectful manner. But thankfully, I haven't had to do that in years. Alrighty. And if Gail leaves a comment on this video, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to delete it and pretend that she never left a comment. And then she's going to go make a comment, and it's not going to post. And she's going to go, oh, Joseph deleted my comment. Okay, Gail. Okay. She's never commented on one of my videos anyways, but, you know. I like Moonlit Asteroid. I like that background. Alrighty, so we're going to make this a whole heck of a lot bigger by doing this. Dun, da, da, da. Now, that's the final Bible. That's not... It's not what I wanted. Not what I wanted at all. Share screen. Yes, yes, yes. And we might as well just do window. We'll go with this. And share. Sweet. There it is. All right. Starts out this way with a golden line. Oh, now see, hang on a second. Can I zoom in? Can I pinch? Yes, I can. It says, see that underneath secret? It says unlisted. You know what that means? That means that the stream was only accessible through a link, which Gail had access to. That's what that means. So she did have access to it. Let's find out how she got access to it. Exposed. And I'm still at a loss as to what this image is supposed to be. It looks like a book that still has to be cut along the edges because, you know, it's they're folded into quarters and then they have to be cut along that edge and then the top edge as well. And I guess that's Gail's hand, and I'm not even sure exactly what book this is, so I'm sorry. I would love to know the significance of this. It doesn't make any sense. It's written by Gail Riplinger right here. See? All right. This shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets, which, by the way, can also refer to a small chamber used for study. Hang on a second. Sorry about that. And Carl, you can stay down. All right, so and that which she in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. Mark Ward actually just made a video about that word. And cat hair. Shall be proclaimed upon the housetops, Luke 12:13. Near the end at 2:54, someone said, "This is all recorded," and a reply was heard. Uh-oh. Once again, the Holy Bible has proven itself true. Joseph is out of the closet. Yeah, okay. So if we scroll all the way down to the bottom of to here, this shows up again. Oh, just even the fact that I contacted Phil Stringer and that he hasn't gotten back to me shows that I'm a criminal right there. I can't believe it. This whole thing has been recorded. Big exclamation mark. Oh, and it's in red. Uh-oh. I italics, exclamation mark, underlined. Before bye-bye. Now, if you look at this, I can't believe it. This whole thing has been recorded. And a reply was heard. Uh-oh. What is that? What is that? What is that communicates to me when I read that. And I had to go back and I had to look at the streams for myself just to make sure what happened. What it looks like, and I mentioned this in the last stream, it looks like we panicked when we realized that we were recording ourselves. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. We were recording ourselves this whole time. Somebody's going to get a hold of this and they're going to see that we really don't believe everything that Gail Riplinger does. That's not what happened. We already described the situation in the last stream, but I'll do it for you again. We were talking about conspiracy theories. The wife of one of my co-conspirators mentioned a conspiracy theory that she had heard about, I think it was Jim Carrey playing Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's earlobe is a longer, like something like this. And he's a little taller at this one point or whatever. So it's obviously Jim Carrey wearing a flesh mask, posing as, our beloved president. And Charles Evans piped in and, he gave us his 2 cents and what he'd heard about the earlobe thing and all this. And as he's talking about that, I've thought multiple times during this stream over and over and over again, just like, guys, we got to shut this down. It's just gone for a very long time. We're all tired. We got to get to bed. It's late. And I'm looking at the timestamp and it's like up to almost 3 hours. And I was just like, wow, this whole thing has been recorded. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, which, by the way, this is not someplace Gail Riplinger is. I'm sorry, she's not in here right now. I was thinking, all of this is recorded. So, our co-conspirators' children will be able to come back and watch this. They'll have access to the links. They'll be able to see their grandparents, whatever. And, some real interaction, some video footage of their parents talking and engaging and having a good time and stuff like this. And I was just like, and it's an honor to me to have this kind of platform where people can come on and they can look and they can listen and they can watch. And then they can come in and they can join and they can make a recording for themselves too that is on the YouTube servers that is going to be preserved for however long this whole thing is up and preserved and all this stuff. An indefinite amount of time. And just like, wow, it's a privilege for me. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe this whole thing was recorded. Now, Charles E. Sorry. The one guy, the one co-conspirator, sorry. He said, uh-oh, kind of with a little bit of sarcasm, because we had been talking about, the president's earlobes. And it was just like, oh, shoot. They're going to get a hold of this and they're going to think that we're crazy and all this. And he's just like, uh-oh. And, we chatted for a little bit longer. I can't remember if we talked about Saudi Sheena. There was a lot of different things that we talked about that night. Mel's Hole, Saudi Sheena, the Shaver Mysteries, all these things. And I had the privilege, Brian Ross, I see you're here now. I had the privilege of introducing you to the Shaver Mystery not too long ago, when we first talked, of course. So we talked about that in the secret stream. I believe all of that's going to be in the recording, so you guys can learn a little bit more about Saudi Sheena, Mel's Hole, and the, I don't remember if I ended up talking a lot about Mel's Hole, though. I don't know. Maybe I should talk about that on the channel sometime. Maybe I already have. I don't remember. All these different things. And, we chatted for a little longer, like I said, and started winding it down and thanking the co-conspirators and stuff. And I just watched it again recently, and it's just what happened. And it's just like, yeah, we just kind of folded the tent and we're just like, guys, get some rest. It's been awesome talking to you guys as always. Thank you for supporting our channel and everything, and for just getting behind this, and I really appreciate them for it. And that was it. And I said bye-bye, and they all said bye and bye and bye and bye. Everybody faded out. And at the end of the stream, I'm putting everything together, and just before I hung up, I look at the camera and I just and that was it. And you guys are going to be able to see it publicly, just so you guys can see it, because what Gail gave you about this is all recorded and uh-oh and bye-bye and crap like this. Sorry for my language there. Pardon my, that's not actually French. Okay. I think you can see exactly what kind of level this PDF is going to be on from here on out. Once again, the Holy Bible has proven itself true. Joseph is out of the closet. I'm actually still in the closet, because a closet can also be considered a small room used for personal study, and that's what I do here. So I'm still in the closet anyways. And also, most of the things that she talks about on here, I've already talked about publicly. The really loose, crazy idea that I had, or still kind of entertained, and I want to address too, about her being an Illuminati sex control mind, or sex. How does it go? Illuminati mind control sex slave is the terminology. Oh my goodness, you said that about her. Well, that's one of the things that actually kind of drove her out of hiding, because now she had to make this PDF because she was just so inflamed about that. So then I found out what she was doing exactly. So anyways, we're going to talk about that here in a second. So I'm kind of glad that I said that, but the thing is I don't actually believe it, and I was very clear about it in the stream, but she also didn't tell you in the PDF about the main reason why I even thought or entertained the idea, or even brought it up. I have not decided that she is, or something like this. I haven't run any tests. There are some that I have heard of that could be done, like, when you think of your parents, draw the first thing that you think of when you think of your parents, and you draw the picture. That can be very helpful to uncovering something that you may not physically be able to remember. But anyways. All right. So, because it's all part of the conspiracy. All right. So, once again, the Holy Bible. Okay, whatever. Bold text now. Providence gave me access to Joseph Armstrong's secret session. It's not called a secret session to my knowledge, or maybe I did call it that one time. I don't remember. YouTube videos of, and those are the dates, when I publish them, since they're going to be cut down versions of the same thing, they're going to have the same dates on them. They were started on those dates and then finished and processed the day afterwards, because we finished after midnight. And so it's going to have the next day stamped on it, but they're from those days, 8/23/24, 8/30/24, and 7/19/24, etc. Now, after she came out with their PDF on September 4th, which I believe it was September 4th or 5th, of just after August 30th, 2024. After that, and I saw that and stuff, I was just like, well, this is interesting. So, by the way, Providence did not give her access to Joseph Armstrong's secret session or whatever. And later on in the PDF, she's going to pretend that I didn't know. I knew. I gave her access to the membership. And because of her mishandling of it and her abuse and use of the membership benefits, I wrote her an email. And I said, I'm sorry to see that you have no interest in engaging in these secret streams, and you just kind of want to watch from the background and just want to launch out attacks at us or something like this. And I was just like, for the time being, and I think it'll be both to our benefits, to both of our benefits, for the time being, I'm going to have to end your subscription to our membership program. So that was that. Maybe somehow she still has access to it. I don't know now. But I knew she had access to it before. I knew that every time I put out a post that was members only, or sent out a link or whatever, Gail was getting an email or she was getting a notification of some kind. But she never interacted, so I assumed that she was never there. And she says later on, unbeknownst to him, we've had access to all of his secret content. Oh, really? Unbeknownst to me, huh? Let's read that email, Gail. Hang on a second. Doodaloo. All right. I wrote on August 16th of 2023 just before I gave her the membership. I would also like to ask if you would like to be gifted a membership to our Buy Me a Coffee page. That way you can stay up to date as to what we are working on on what we call a co-conspirator. Hang on a second. That way you can stay up to date or updated as to what we are working on as what we call a co-conspirator without having to get involved with social media. So in other words, you could become a co-conspirator without having to get on Facebook or anything else like that. You will also have access to our future private content, be able to add input on upcoming projects, and have access to our super secret chat group for members only. Right now, there are only about 3 of us. There are only 3 of us. Just let me know and we'll add you to our group! ! She replied the same day regarding the Buy Me a Coffee page. This is a part of the email. August 16th, 2023. Gail, you have access to this. Come on. Regarding the Buy Me a Coffee page, it sounds techie and I'm not, but sign me in and I'll see what I can do. Providence gave me access to Joseph Armstrong's secret sessions. That's rich. We have copies and transcripts. He voices confidently this. I do not plan to ever make it live, which I didn't at the time. It is a top secret stream, and the reason why I said that over and over again is because one of the things that I wanted to do, and I was underlining this, was like, I want to have something so that people aren't just paying to support my channel. They have access to something that they can only have access to if they're a member. And I was like, what do I do? And I was like, maybe if I do a secret stream with them, maybe if I didn't know what to do at the time. So I just went with the secret stream thing. And I was just like, okay, this is for you guys. This is your members thing. And one thing that I was also facing at the time was there was a co-conspirator that was never joining, and not just Gail. And I was just like, do they ever join? Do they ever come in? And one thing that I was kind of paranoid at this point about was somebody actually sharing these links with Gail Riplinger, because it's just like, oh, I don't like this guy. Look at this creep. He's saying this stuff and stuff like this. And I'm gonna be a hero, and Gail Riplinger is going to like me and mention me in a PDF or something, so that so I can feel good. And I'm gonna send her this link so she can know just what's going on. Ha! I have done good. That was one thing that I was seriously thinking about, and I was just like, I was upset because co-conspirators, I trust them, and they knew, they were well aware. And as was Gail, that my criticisms were not going to go public before I ran them past Gail for her review and comment and gave her an opportunity to respond. Sound familiar? And I was doing this before I listened to that debate. You're welcome. So you try to be fair, you try to be honest, and something you forgot about, like giving Gail Riplinger a membership thing, and you assume that she never uses it. It turns out that you're wrong, and you get a little PDF made about you that shows up on the freebies page. That's just how life is, I guess. So that's why I was like, members exclusively, all this stuff. She puts it in red bold text for some odd reason. And then these are the 5 main points she talks about the first one, where, and then the 5 things. And by the way, like I said, and I made a short video addressing this, secret sessions are so that I can run ideas past people that I trust and that enjoy our content and that are, that are interested in the subject and aren't necessarily just, a raving King James only person that just foams at the mouth anytime somebody says something that's not exactly what Ruckman or Riplinger ever said. Or, like one person so well put it, asks an unapproved question. They're a good group of people, and I like talking to them. But with it's just so much. The secret stream was not for putting in my unpublished thoughts and, oh, now it's time to scheme behind closed doors against Gail Riplinger, and I'm going to secretly turn all of you people into modern version users. Not my intention. She pretends for the rest of the PDF that it was. He is questioning the King James only position. Oh my goodness, I never did that before publicly before I did that. You've got to be kidding me. And by the way, what is wrong with questioning your position? How are you ever going to have a good position if you just assume that your position is final, infallible, and truthful? I've said probably hundreds of times on this channel, if you don't come to a point where you look back at you and you think, wow, I was an idiot, then you probably aren't an adult. Because when you're an adult, you look back at yourself and you're like, man, was I dumb? And if you've never had that moment, I hope that you have that moment soon. I've had that moment. I've had that moment publicly many times. I don't have to be doing it publicly, but I am. And it's fun. I enjoy this. Oh, let's see. He puts forward the idea. Now she says right here that I put forward the idea. Later on, I have to make up my mind whether or not she's a little lady that's conspiracy theorying out of her mind, or if she's an Illuminati sex control slave or a sex mind control slave. I have to make up my mind between these two opinions that I'm trying to hold simultaneous. I don't actually hold this position, so just so you know. Let's see. He's questioning. Okay. This is what I wrote, and I think it's important to read this because there could be. I'm sorry, but when you're part of this kind of stuff, a lot of the time you don't know you are part of this kind of stuff. Listen to anything MK Ultra related on the Confessionals by Tony Merkel. theconfessionalspodcast.com. Joseph thinks Gail is an Illuminati-controlled sex slave. No, I don't. And I have expressed this idea publicly on several occasions, and I've been clear and said, relax, it's just a conspiracy theory. The main reason, now I'd like to be upfront with the main reason why I even entertained the idea. The first thing that really tipped me off was just like the amount of subterfuge and fact mangling that goes into the final Bible, the chapter that Gail wrote. The level of it was, I was like, okay, either she is insanely untruthful, or maybe something else is going on where this can be explained from a conspiracy theory kind of standpoint. Maybe she's, not herself. Maybe she has an evil alter that takes over, and I don't know. That was my conspiracy theory to where I was like, okay, I don't want to accept that I was just being lied to by just by just somebody that just had interest in cooking the facts. I didn't want to accept that. I didn't want to accept that I had just been easily just deceived. So I thought this to kind of justify it in my mind, voiced it to the co-conspirators, and was just like, I don't take this seriously, but just, this channel is for me to take my thoughts and put them public and see what people think. And I also accept the conspiracy end of things, so that just makes things so much more interesting. So the main reason is because Gail, and she was identified as this by a nurse that I saw on a forum a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, several months ago. The main reason is because Gail was easy to identify when researching her documentation. Like when I was researching her documentation, I saw this. She is easy to identify as a paranoid schizophrenic. Now, I'm not saying that all paranoid schizophrenics are a result of this kind of trauma-induced mind control, because this is a real thing, okay? And please do not misunderstand me. I am not making light of the people that have actually had this stuff happen to them, because it does. It is in our churches, it is in our schools, it is in our communities, it is in our cities, it is in our government, it is all over the place. This is happening on a daily basis, and some of it we're funding, and it's scary. So, paranoid schizophrenic. This disorder is often associated with dissociative identity disorder, where you disassociate from a traumatizing situation and you have no memory of the event. Like, there was a story of a young girl who was by her uncle, and all she remembered was looking up at the sky and seeing clouds. She never remembered anything that happened to her besides that. She had to go through some serious, therapy and, all this kind of stuff. And these memories started resurfacing. But she had suppressed these memories through something called dissociative identity disorder, where it actually, where this trauma actually produces another personality that absorbs the shock of it. And one of the things that Nazi scientists did, especially Mengele, he would actually fragment through very specific torments. He would fragment their personality. I believe it was into 162 different personalities. And it's easiest to do with a child, because then you can program each one of those personalities to do a certain thing. There was a young girl who recently was on the underground church, and she had been programmed to be I think he was like in his 50s, a 50-year-old air pilot sergeant. And she flew a plane in to where Nixon was like showing off, we have teenagers flying planes now. It's so advanced and intuitive and all this great stuff. And I believe it was Henry Kissinger actually ended up saying, hey, can I take her aside? And he took her aside. And I believe it was Henry Kissinger who was actually mentioned as being a candidate for the Antichrist in the debate between Gail and James. Henry Kissinger took her aside, activated her, let's just say, Marilyn Monroe altar, did his thing, and then sent her back to the plane. This is a real thing, guys. And that's what happened to this lady that was giving this testimony. She's probably in her 60s now, or I forget how old she was, but she was a bit older. This disorder is often associated with dissociative identity disorder, and these are both common earmarks of satanic ritual abuse, which is also a real thing, and other forms of trauma-based mind control, or TBM. I think it's TBM is the term. She pretends in the PDF. I'm not sure if I mentioned the dissociative identity disorder stuff. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the secret stream that she was part of. So Gail, please forgive me if you didn't hear this part. But that was one of the main reasons why I actually thought this. She says in the PDF that the main reason is because her last name starts with R, as did Ruckman. But Riplinger is also her married name. I believe her maiden name was Ludwig, if I'm not mistaken, which I believe would be German. I don't know. I haven't followed up on the heritage and everything like this, so please don't quote me. That's not the main reason why I was suspicious. Am I very suspicious of Gail for this? No. If it were true, she would be. If it is true that somebody has had this happen to them, they can be unpredictable and potentially dangerous. But it depends. But she would also be a victim. And I'm telling you, there are people out there that are actually these victims. Okay? I've heard many of them speak. I've heard many of them give their stories. Some of them, it's just unbelievable. I've mentioned the World of Children, which was in the French Quarter of New Orleans. It was a Montessori school, which was very heavily connected with MK Ultra. Argentina, also the Nazis down there and everything. Argentina plays into that whole thing very much. So I've talked about that before on streams. She would still be a victim and in need of healing, not hiding. Relax, it's just a conspiracy theory. I have been perfectly clear that it is only a theory every time I have expressed this idea. Please leave a comment if you would like to discuss more telltale signs of SRA and TBM, which we have talked about in a previous video on satanic ritual abuse. And we went through the different signs that show up in children, especially, and sometimes adults, that are outlined in the back of Bill Schneeblin's book, Lucifer Dethroned. So in future streams, let me know if you want to talk about that more. Before I move on, I will guarantee that there is someone in your life who has faced trauma that you are not ready to understand. I thank God that person is not me. At least I don't remember any trauma that I've had that, would have that to do, that would have that connection. I thank God that person isn't me, but if it's you, if you're that person in my life that has faced trauma that I can't understand, don't be afraid to reach out to me, or if you have a story that is something that you would like to share publicly, even with a pseudonym, please contact Tony Merkel at the Confessionals Podcast. Anything that, especially SRA or trauma-induced mind control or the Vril Maidens, anything like this, please reach out to Tony Merkel. He's got quite a platform, and he really wants to hear your story. All right. Oh, yeah. He puts forward the idea that and psyops, okay. He suggests that KJV-only folks may be a psyops. You mean a psyop? Psychological operation. A doesn't imply a plural. I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding that, but anyways. Getting in the way of his hero, KJV critic Mark Ward. Okay. So I have also expressed the idea that King James onlyism could be a psyop, because I am willing to acknowledge that there is just as much manipulation on our side of the aisle as there is on the other. Have a good night, Nick. Thank you for tuning in. Looks like you checked out about 10 minutes ago. Thank you. So, and I've talked about, the flat earth connection and all this kind of stuff. I've talked about that before on other streams. This is nothing new. It is only new to people that are reading this PDF and have never watched our channel. The reason for this, just really in a nutshell, say we didn't land on the moon. how would they cover it up? One great way of covering it up is making a flat Earth movement, which hinges upon the idea of the moon being fake and the moon landing being fake, and it just sounds so crazy and outlandish, and it circles around all these other bizarre things that nobody pays any attention to it. What if there really are changes like are discussed in the New Order of Barbarians? What if these changes are actually being made to the Bible? How would it be a good way to cover it up? Well, if you create a King James only movement, or possibly a King James only book that has so much failed documentation, so many holes in its scholarship and research that you could drive a truck through it and not brush the pages. And nobody pays any attention to it, and everybody thinks it's crazy. And if you say anything about there being a conspiracy behind modern Bible versions, everybody just is like, oh, great, one of these guys. And they're just like, okay, forget about him. Let's just deal with the facts, okay? Okay. We're just trying to read our Bibles here. Crazy person, go away. That's exactly what has happened in most circles. Oh, yeah, and then there's the other half of that hates everybody that uses a modern version, thinks they're all going to hell, and they're all using Satan's Bible. That's the other half of the discussion. So, yeah, it's a dividing line. And it kind of reeks of a, what do they call it? The antithesis and the thesis and antithesis. It reeks of a political divide. It reeks of conspiracy to me. I've voiced this many times. The person who is shocked by this is Gail Riplinger, because she apparently never watches our channel. But thank you, Gail, for watching tonight. I really appreciate it. Let's see. So, by the way, my hero is not Mark Ward, and I do spend some time at him. But the thing is that I appreciate some legitimate research that's not going to criticize the King James Bible. Here, think about this. Say there's a word that the King James Bible says, and you understand it a certain way, like replenish in Genesis. You look at the word replenish and you go, oh, that means to fill again. That's our modern understanding of it. You go to the Hebrew dictionary or whatever, and you look at the word that underlies that, and you're like, okay, it means just to fill. Oh, well, the King James says to fill again. Oh, now this is an advanced revelation, a never before seen truth that has come about thank you to the inspiration of the King James Bible. It's not an error. The Hebrew is an error. You can correct the Hebrew and the Greek with the King James Bible. But wait a second. What if the King James translators knew what the Hebrew word meant and translated it correctly based on what the Hebrew word means and not on some kind of advanced revelation? What if our understanding of a 400-year-old word has changed? By the way, Gail, Kent Hovind identifies a false friend, as they're sometimes called, by Mark Ward, in this passage. Kent Hovind, whom you are friends with, ask him about it. He would identify, you might not call it this, but if you explain to him what a false friend is supposed to be, if you asked him about replenish in Genesis, where it talks about replenishing the earth after the creation and replenishing the earth after the flood, he would say, it just means to fill. It does not mean to refill. It did not begin to be referring to refilling something until I believe it was around 1850. That's when the definition entered the dictionary. And it was like a second or third definition too. The primary definition of replenish simply meant to fill from an unfilled state, not to refill. I appreciate that research. And Mark Ward That's one of Mark Ward's false friends. Kent Hovind and Mark Ward helped to clear up an error of Peter Ruckman's understanding of a correct translation of the King James Bible. People want to think that Mark Ward is an enemy of the King James Bible because he has pointed out what he thinks is an error in the King James Bible, which I do not agree with him with. And he also is critical text, and he believes the King James Bible should be updated. I am still looking for good information and good sound reasoning as to why it can never be updated. Gail's research and Gail's reasoning about holy, undefiled, separate from sinners wording and stuff like this, I don't think is sustainable or defensible, which is really sad. But the thing is, with Mark Ward's False Friends series, if you still want to use the King James Bible, then knowing what the words mean can be very, very, very helpful. And actually reading the words that were correctly translated by the King James translators that have changed their meaning since 1611, and you look at these words and you're like, oh, I think I know what that means. It's not an archaic word I'm ever going to look up. I think I know what replenish means. I know exactly what it means. But maybe we don't know exactly what it means. Maybe it meant something different to the King James 1611 translators 400 years ago. And turns out it did. Of course, if you're going to accept the gap theory, you really don't want a false friend to be there because most of your argument hinges upon that passage. But that'll be another topic for another time. We have been saying, okay, all right, so we're about 2 minutes shy of 2 hours. He agrees with the corrupt new version words, including the omission of Lucifer from Isaiah 14:12. I don't agree with omitting it. I agree with King James Bible believing Christians having a better understanding of it, because Lucifer is assumed to mean something. We'll have to talk about this in a future stream, or else we're going to be all night. But I deeply appreciate Brian Ross's paper that he did showing how the translators of the Matthew's Bible, the translators of the Geneva Bible, John Wycliffe's translation, they all clearly identify Lucifer as being the planet Venus when it's rising. It was considered to be in Greek mythology and everything like this. Venus was considered to be of a masculine gender as it was rising, and then as it was falling, it was considered to be of a feminine gender, as with the moon being feminine and the sun being masculine. It depends on which mythology you're talking about. Many mythologies reverse those gender roles. Oh, there goes Nick Sayers. That's why he had to check out. He's starting an interview with, what's his face? And I don't want to have to step on him, but so we're just going to try to finish up as quickly as we can. But Lucifer in that passage, Matthew Henry talks about it. Just about everybody that Will Kinney cites also meant, well, not just about everybody, never mind. A lot of people that he cites, forgive me for that. The omission of Lucifer, not for omitting it, not for changing it. I'm for the King James marginal reading that says, or day star. Because there's a lot of tradition built up around that being Satan. King James only people want it to only be Satan. But the problem is if you read the passage in its context and take in the full scope of the passage, it is clear that it's comparing Nebuchadnezzar to the planet Venus, and that there is a secondary application, which most people have recognized. There's a secondary application to the fall of Satan. And I believe that Christ actually was referring to that with the fall that he talks about in the Gospels of Satan falling from heaven. Let's see. So just as corrupt new versions do, replacing it with the day star, capital day, capital S, Jesus Christ in 2 Peter 1:19. Okay. Now, when the people that Gail actually didn't talk to on the Ankerberg show, when they talked about this, they said categorically that they were not trying to draw a parallel between Satan and Jesus. They put the footnotes in there to take you to the New Testament passages to show you places where day star is mentioned in other places in the Bible. In fact, the Latin Vulgate uses Lucifer in both places, and Gail tries to say that the Latin Vulgate is teaching that Satan is the same as Jesus Christ. Do you believe that? If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. It won't cost you, but, you know, an arm and a leg. Oh, and by the way, did Gail ever tell you what the old Latin manuscripts say in the New Testament? She says that they're the pure ones, and the corrupt Latin Vulgate has Lucifer in the New Testament. She never tells you what the old Latin has there in those passages, does she? Fascinating. All right, so he agrees with corrupted. Okay, whatever. He suggests that the KJV could be revised. Oh, heresy. Outright heresy, isn't it? My goodness, guys, eventually language change is going to introduce so much distance between that translation and our current one that it will be unintelligible, just like the Latin Vulgate became over the course of 1,000 years to where the common person could no longer read it. And then there had to be translations into the current language, like William Tyndale and Wycliffe and people like this. King James onlyism, I think, could actually be the new Vulgate onlyism. It differs slightly, and we can discuss it in future videos. But anyways, I don't have a problem, and I've been clear about this before. I don't have a problem with the idea that God is going to guide people to have a modern translation in their language, in the language as they speak it. And I'm sorry, but making marginal notes, as my wife has suggested, detailing all of the false friends and trying to correct everything that way, it's far beyond that. Far beyond that, in my opinion. So Gail, since you're watching this video, here's what we do. Instead of making a new PDF based on what's gone on in this stream, how about if we talk about it like adults? Instead of making another PDF and publishing it and saying Joseph is now an absolute heretic, don't ever listen to him. We're going to be going through this PDF step by step and answering every little point. I want to get to the end of this page, and that's probably about what we're going to be able to do for tonight. Sorry. But there's a lot to discuss. A lot to discuss. He does a Facebook, number 4, he does a Facebook hostile makeover, banning the Riplinger family as admins. Okay, so here's what happened. I had to take away Bryn Riplinger and Bryn Riplinger Schutt and Stephen Schutt's hats as admins. Why did I do this? And I sent them an email telling them why I did it. I think... Yes. Why were Bryn and Stephen Schutt's admin hats taken away? Because of the condescending and motive questioning nature of Bryn's PDF, Joseph Armstrong's requested reply. I sent them an email clearly outlining why I had granted them admin status to begin with, because I did. I started the group and I invited them as admins, not to make lend some kind of air of credibility to the page, but to invite them to have a part of the page on a higher level than just somebody who was able to engage with comments and posts. I wanted to do something nice to them. I sent them an email clearly outlining why I had granted them admin status to begin with, and why I felt it necessary that their admin status be removed. Here's what I said one day after their PDF was received. Good morning, Bryn. I hope you and your family are well. Just so you know, I got your email and look forward to looking over it carefully. I appreciate you taking the time to respond to me. Heart with sparkles. I appreciate your involvement in the Friends group and enjoy our exchanges even if we don't always see eye to eye. I thought I should let you know that for now, however, I've decided to remove yours and Steven's admin status from the Friends of Gail Riplinger group. Honestly, I have been thinking about it for a few years now. The reason is twofold. First, because of an apparent lack of admin activities besides removing posts occasionally, which is pretty much what they did, is they removed posts that they didn't like. And one of them was mine, but water under the bridge. Some of these posts have been my own, but I don't hold that against you. I understand why you felt they should be removed, and personally, I have moved on from it. So basically, there was a lack of involvement. They never seemed to let in new members, from what I noticed. They never really communicated with me ever. So their admin status was removed a long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. This was from I didn't write that down. Hang on a second. All right, so secondly, I noticed in my brief scan of the PDF, so I looked over it briefly. Let's see. Second, I noticed in my brief scan of the PDF, you sent that my motives and belief in the KJV are drawn into question for questioning some of what Gail has in her writings. So, do you really believe the King James? Well, you know what? I can disbelieve Gail Riplinger and believe the King James Bible at the same time. I don't have to be Gail only to be King James only. Sorry, doesn't work like that. All right. So, second, I noticed that in my brief scan of the PDF you sent me that my motives and belief in the KJV are drawn into question for questioning some of what Gail has in her writings. This being the apparent case, I don't wish to be canceled out of the group. In case we end up not agreeing on some point or other. So basically, the derogatory and evasive nature of her PDF led me to be like, actually, I don't need to be banned from the group that I started. So sorry, Bryn, sorry, Steven. And I reached out to them and told them, and I was just like, okay, I'm not banning you from the group, like Gail kind of makes it seem. But I'm sorry, you can't be admins anymore, because then you'd be able to throw me out just because we might have a misunderstanding about something. And by the way, it's called the Friends of Gail Riplinger group, and it's going to stay that way because I still consider myself a friend of Gail Riplinger, but I'm a friend of Gail Riplinger that's not afraid to say, Gail, you're wrong, and you need to apologize. And that's what a true friend will do. A true friend won't just suck up to you all the time. On the kids in Odyssey, Adventures in Odyssey, your kid friend tells a lie, and you're like, oh, you just told a lie, you can't do that. Oh, well, aren't you my friend anymore? I thought you were my friend. And then, well, I am your friend, but you shouldn't be lying. That's bad for everybody. And then go to an adult or whatever, or an authority or figure or something, and be like, hey, so and so, this is what actually happened. Since they're refusing to make amends and stuff like this, and they struggle with it internally sometimes for days, as I did. And then eventually they're just like, you know what? I just got to tell somebody. They're just not going to tell the truth. This happened, and this situation has hurt somebody else already in the process. Too much damage has been done. I got to say something. And then You tell somebody, and the truth comes out, and the friend who told the lie at the beginning, "You're a traitor. You hate me. I'm not your friend anymore." Who is being the true friend? And usually the kid that told the initial lie usually comes around as like, you know what? I realized that, the other week or month or year or however long it takes him to realize it. I realized that you're actually a true friend. Not many of my not any of my other friends were willing to stick up for my integrity and challenge me to a higher level. You were, and I appreciate it. If the kids in Odyssey can do it, can adults do it too? Okay. So I hope that I'm not getting too freezy or anything. I especially hope the audio is doing okay, because that's the main focus of this whole thing. I've got to try to figure out this setup better, because yeah, with my phone not functioning like it should be, it's really we're going to be streaming crippled for some time. Let's see. You send, okay. So this being the apparent case, I don't wish to be canceled out of the group in case we end up not agreeing on some point or other. I look forward to hearing and analyzing the defense and challenges you provide, and hope to have discussions with you on these points shortly. I look forward to digging into the subject matter, as it has fascinated me for many years. Just thinking about it now, a third fold presents itself. So the third reason why I did it. I invited you and Steven to be admins in honor of the fact that you are part of Gail's family. I don't remember if I even asked if you wanted to be involved in the group in that capacity. Please forgive me. Please forgive my presumption. If you would both like to admin again in the future, we can figure that all out once the dust settles. Smiley face with blushes. I hope you understand I sent a similar series of messages to you on Facebook Messenger, which I never hear back from, at least Bryn, and Steven has blocked me, as has Gail. Gail's on as a page. She's not really on as an account, it doesn't seem. Bryn's the only one that hasn't had me blocked, so they can kind of keep tabs on me, I suppose. Let's see. Thank you for your immense patience with an inquisitive young Yankee, because they're very patient with me. They were very patient with me so often. Please let Gail know we are grateful for the kind gift you all sent us, and that she is in our thoughts and prayers. Please let me know if you have any questions for me. God bless, Joseph Armstrong. Apparently, hostile makeover means I don't like not being in control, and I don't like not being able to boot you out of the group, because I don't think you're a friend anymore. Yeah. And as far as banning them from not being, and from banning them not being able to pin their posts to the top, and refusing to allow them to post their replies to my ridiculous posts or whatever, like they say later on in the PDF, it just comes with the territory of not being an admin. At least that's how I understand Facebook. They have never requested me to give them admin status again, so that they could pin their posts or whatever. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Maybe I forgot. I don't know. If they did, it'd be like, if you want to pin something, send it to me and I'll pin it for you. But of course, trust is not really a thing that they do. So that's so much for the hostile makeover. And this is 5, the worst thing that I ever did. He is working on a web page to defend the corrupt Sinaiticus manuscripts, apocryphal books, the Shepherd of Hermas, which I did admittedly misspell it as shepherd throughout the document. I did not say I was a champion of spelling bees. I have fixed it, and thank you. I appreciate it. And the Epistle of Barnabas, I set it up to trap Gail Riplinger because she doesn't think that that they're Christian books like I do. Oh, that's so loaded. So loaded. And there are 13 pages of stuff. Lots and lots of stuff, which you guys can all read. I mean, go right ahead. Blind Rage. Oh, yes. You guys, I'm really quick, if I can. We're going to be doing, I think I pretty well addressed most of those things. I could probably go through page by page. If you guys are looking for me to actually go through the entire document page by page and hit every single point, I can certainly do that. But yeah, I don't know if you guys would necessarily be bored by that. I might do another stream like this. I don't know. Did you like this one? Hey, 16 people are here out of, I think the peak was 25, so not bad. Not bad. I'm definitely doing one on the Hermas and Barnabas thing. Because so far, and they have sent me their replies, and I have looked at the replies, and I have not ignored them like Gail says. I haven't gotten back to them about it yet because I've had many other things going on. But there are a lot of things that need to be talked about. And I would love to talk about them with you. So let me know. Do you want to see me go through the other 12 pages of information? Actually, I guess probably 13 pages because the last page is after the transcripts end. There's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So, and you can check out the description. It has the link should be active. abpublications.com/freebies. You can check this out. You can check out the one that Bryn made in response to me. They don't supply my email where I initially asked the question, however, so that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, we're going to get into all of that on future streams. The Hermas and Barnabas thing is immense. The criticisms that I have are numerous, and I look forward to discussing them with you. Because so far I haven't seen. Oh, and by the way, let me just lay this on you. The is that the Shepherd of Hermas and the Epistle of Barnabas are evil books that lay out the New Age end time scenario just like Satan wants to see it. And by the way, the reason why I described it as a trap for Gail, let me explain. The reason why is because when Gail responds to somebody like James White or most of her other critics, they're not King James only. And what they typically deal with is the textual side of things and the translational side of things. As far as I am aware, there may be one or two other chapters, but as far as I am aware, the final Bible is the only chapter that does not discuss modern Bible versions. It doesn't discuss the King James Bible issue. It doesn't discuss any of these things. So if somebody doubles down and researches it and has, like myself, found that everything is horribly out of place, and they discuss that, especially from a King James only perspective, which I'm sorry, I'm still questioning. I'm not going to stop asking questions until I am settled in my own mind and I've figured it out for myself, because it is an insanely nuanced discussion, and I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to apply the closest scrutiny that I can to it and arrive at a fair conclusion that my children can take to the bank. I appreciate it. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah. Oh, the thing about virgins. Oh, that's a real doozy. We'll get into that. Oh, let's see, what is... No, I'm not seeing it right now. Oh, here we go. And those who are of full age, even those who have through the pox of... Now, this is talking about the shepherd of Hermas and the wolves in sheep's clothing that wrote it. Their work salvation, their Arian heresy, their evil, their Calvinism, Adventism. Wait, what? Their commandment keeping salvation. What, isn't that work salvation? Roman Catholic heresy, which, yeah, I guess. Celibacy, that's not in there. And modesty like Muslims and nuns. So we're talking about the women that had their hair down and their shoulders bare, being the evil women, which she does not talk about in the final Bible. And perhaps Satan's end time plans. What? Perhaps. Let this be something that we can look at. Gail Riplinger is backpedaling on what she wrote already. The entire tone, and you guys can read it. Crack open your very own copy of New Age Bible versions and read chapter 40. The entire thing is saying that it lays out a scenario for the end times that the Antichrist wants to see. And it's full of all these New Age bizarre doctrines and stuff like this. And it doesn't even hardly touch the doctrinal stuff. It does a little bit of the work salvation stuff, maybe a little bit of the Arianism, and maybe a little bit of the baptism thing. But the rest of it is just, whoa, calm down. Like, the thing about, which one do you even choose? Well, we'll talk about it in other streams. But perhaps Satan's end time plans. Gail, you said publicly, repeatedly, over and over and over and over again, I've seriously considered making a short video, let me know if you'd like to see it, of just a compilation of Gail saying what Hermas and Barnabas supposedly say. It doesn't say to take the mark of the beast. It doesn't command you to give up to the beast. And if you read the context of that, it's abundantly clear that the man has victory over the tribulation, which is what the beast that he is facing is a picture of. It's embarrassing. It doesn't tell you to form a new world order, and it doesn't tell you to kill Christians that don't take the mark of the beast. It simply does not. And the reasons that she gives for saying that that's what the text is implying are absolutely odd. But you don't have to believe me. Go read the chapter for yourself. Go read the Shepherd of Hermas and the Epistle of Barnabas for yourself. Compare what the text says to what Gail's chart says. Compare what Blavatsky said to what Gail says she said. Compare what Vera Alder actually said to what Gail says she said. Compare F.F. Bruce and Bruce Metzger to what Gail said that they said. Compare Bishop Lightfoot and what he said to what Blavatsky and what Gail Riplinger said they said. By the time you're done, let me know what you see, because I just hope I'm not the only one seeing it. I appreciate it, guys. The next live stream that we do, I'm not sure when I'm going to be doing it. Yeah, it's hit or miss for the large family like we have 4 little kids. It's very difficult. And as you can hear, I'm receiving the call of the wild right now. He wants his dada. Let's see. I'm going to look through the comments really, really quick. Let's see. Honestly, it's rather trying to okay. Cast, not necessarily. Okay, I have not written the PDF by Sister Gail Riplinger, and yes, she is still a sister in Christ. Because believers are commanded to love one another and strive for unity. I find Gail's writing so childish and sophomoric. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. It's late. And full of vitriol, displaying a decayed mind. It is painful to read, as she is targeting someone who she thinks has slighted her. And her rhymes and alliterations she thinks are clever and display the opposite. Truth can withstand scrutiny. Absolutely. Thank you, Chase. He is actually our first co-conspirator ever. But he unfortunately is not a co-conspirator. And Chase, I don't hold that against you. Not at all. Not at all. You do what you got to do. I understand. Gail, naysayers, Mark Ward, trick players. Yeah. I would assume that they're okay. Okay. Gail needs to come on to interview and admit her mistakes and apologize if need be. Gail, if you see that, if you want to come on this channel, that's fine. Nick Sayers has actually invited you on his channel. He said you can say whatever you want for a half an hour. And yeah. If you don't want to come in my channel because you think I'm going to do something or whatever, we can go on a neutral channel and we can have a discussion. I'd love it to be public. Daystar is correct, but it is just the etymology of Lucifer, which is nominative. It is a distraction that causes the common reader not to mistakenly think this is Jesus. Like I said, it's late. It's hard for me to. I'm sure you guys get it. And I've also been talking for a long time, so I'm gonna put these up there though, so you guys can see it. Okay. And Nick still says, I still invite Gail onto my channel and will let her say whatever she likes for 30 minutes. Thank you, Nick. Let's see. Basically, Gail says about things that are about 50% correct, but the other material is kooky, wrong, or just paranoid delusion. That's a great way to get her on your channel there, Nick. Checking out. All right. This person says that Schneblin is controlled opposition. I would love to hear why you say that. Let's see. And the same person talks about the Torah. I would love to know more about that too. shoot me an email. All right, guys, I guess that is that. I appreciate you all tuning into this. I think we covered a lot of information. Hopefully, hopefully it worked out for you. 2.5 hours, that's good. We're going to cut it off here. I appreciate your listening ears. You guys are awesome. Make sure you keep reading Make sure you keep reading your Bible. Like the devil's after it. Because he is, and there truly is a Bible version conspiracy. So, watch out. And like I said, the next stream I plan to be where we discuss the Hermas and Barnabas situation, but we may pick up with the PDF again. We shall see. There's so much more to talk about. So much more to talk about. And if you guys have any questions, like I said, reach out. It's easy peasy. Have a good night.